I'm the president of the Bay Area Association. We are a youth group dedicated to improving relationships between parents and teens in the Bay Area. So our presentation today is about video games, and we've been working on it for a few months now. We hope that by the end of tonight, when we all leave here, we will have helped you improve your relationship with your child, or between you and other parents, or between different children. So without further ado, I'm going to invite up the rest of the group. So as I said, my name is Alex. I'm a junior at Leland High School.
I'm Garrison. I'm currently a sophomore at Saratoga High School.
I'm Jonathan. I'm a freshman at Lynbrook.
I'm Jerry, and right now I'm a senior in Mountain View Academy.
Alright, so before we actually go into the presentation, I'm going to take a quick survey. So parents in the crowd, how many of your children play video games? Or how many of you have children who do play video games? Alright, keep your hands up. And how many of you really like how your children play video games? Like, really like it? You heard that your child's playing video games and you think, yes, this is what I raised you to do. Okay, there goes all the hands. So, rest assured that even if we do play video games, there are some good points about it. So the first one is mechanical skill. Now, playing video games isn't something that you can do with no hands. What playing video games accomplishes for you is it improves your mechanical skill, and this includes factors such as reaction time, and can even help your driving, which is notoriously bad among the Asian American community.
It also helps your problem-solving skills. It allows you to learn how to approach a problem in a certain way. Like, learn to try different things every single time. You learn to not give up. You do things over and over again until you finally get it right.
Another thing that video games can teach teens in general is that it teaches empathy. Like, I was playing this game called Final Fantasy, and as I progressed through the game, there was this other character, I forgot the name, but she was a very important character. So, as I progressed through the game, she became like a very important person to me. I got to know her. She was like my character's best friend, and then she died. And I was like crying with little tears. And then I learned empathy through the game.
So another aspect that games improve is creativity, because in today's world, a lot of games aren't simple, straightforward, you only have one option games. A lot of them are more open-ended and sandbox, which means you can do whatever you want. An example is Minecraft, in which you're a player and you can build giant structures, you can destroy giant structures. You basically have the freedom to do whatever you want. Video games let children express their creativity, and this helps them actually improve their creativity overall.
Another really obvious reason why it's good for us is because it's a very relaxing thing to do. You're not like stressed over, you're not sweating, you're not like dying like, you're really having fun, you're really relaxing, which is something that we don't have a lot of time to do as high school students.
So, another thing you learn from video games is street smarts, or like stuff you do in real life. So, I was playing this game called Maple Story, where you like level up. I'm sure some of your children have heard of it. So like, but there's another aspect to that game. It's the free market where you trade items and make money. I was really focused on that. I made a lot of money. And then it really simulates real life where you buy and sell stuff like stocks. So, yeah.
所以说，
Anytime.
所以说呢，在这一节，这3位我们的 background 的同学啊，他们讲了玩电脑游戏呢对孩子们的一些好处，这些是所谓各位家长也许可能不知道的。所以说，首先我想问一下大家对这一方面的理解，有没有什么问题需要提出来？我可以为你们进行一些解答。OK， 那么说，所以说在这一部分呢，Alex 先生向我们讲的第一点就是说 mechanical skills。所谓 mechanical skills 就是说，当我们青少年在玩这个电子游戏的时候啊，也许说，通过玩电子游戏，我们可以培养一些我们的生理上的一些技能，比如说我们大家在开车的时候，科学研究表明说那个 这些玩电子游戏的人呢，可能会能够在行驶车辆的时候反应得更快一点。然后第二点 ，Harrison 所讲的，也就是说这个 problem solving skill， 也就是说解决问题的能力。然后在 empathy 这一点，就是说，在玩电子游戏的这些同学可能会比不玩电子游戏的同学有一些同情心。他在这里呢，给我们举了一个例子，就是说，他玩这个电子游戏，然后里面有一个角色他很喜欢，可是当这个角色在最后快要死亡的时候呢，他就会觉得非常伤心。然后这个也就是说我们所谓的怜悯心，在生活中这样的同学也就会更好的与其他的同学交朋友。然后最后的几点就是创造力，电子游戏能够让我们放松。而 Street Smart 这个地方，大家有可能有一些人会不理解，说什么是 Street Smart？ 所谓 Street Smart 就是说，大家在城市中真正的生存能力。在这里呢，哈尔森也向我们举了一个例子，就是说，他玩这个游戏就是能够比如说 trade money， 就是说他在这个股票市场里如何去获得更多的盈利。所以说，哈尔森通过玩这个游戏，他也许就会在很多年以后变成一个非常有钱的同学。
So there are good points of video games, but of course there is the main bad one, which is addiction. So what are some symptoms of addiction? The first one is prioritization, in which you prioritize video games over your other essential life functions, like eating or sleeping. What addicted people often think is, oh, I have time to eat later, I have time to sleep later, I'm just going to play video games right now. And what this does is it disrupts their normal lifestyle. When other people are doing quote-unquote normal things, someone who's addicted to video games is going to be wasting a lot of their time on video games and not doing other things that they should be doing with their time.
So continuing on with what Alex was saying, if we prioritize video games as like the first thing on our list, the first thing we have to do in our lives, and we keep thinking that way, we eventually become obsessed, where we like play every day and ignore other things in life.
And so obsession leads us into compulsive playing, which is basically even when you don't want to play games, or even if you know that playing the game is bad for you, you play instead. Like sometimes I'm writing an essay and halfway through my thought, I just open up a new tab and I start playing the game, even though I want to write an essay, or if I want to go hang out with my friends, I want to play games more, even though I actually don't want to play games.
So a result of all these factors is poor time management, because what's managing someone who's addicted schedule isn't really themselves, it's more the video games, because they're playing compulsively, they're prioritizing video games over other parts of their life, and what this results in is someone who can't control their own time. And this isn't really their fault. It's not up to how disciplined you are with managing your schedule. It's more the fact that in addiction, you form habits, like playing video games every single day for as many hours as you want. And these habits are incredibly hard to break.
So with this excessive playing of video games and this poor management, it leads us to excluding important events in our life, such as friendships, family time, or even other things such as eating, sleeping, just normal things in lives. And this is a really bad thing. I hope you know that. So.
OK， 所以在这个 slide 中，大家有什么问题吗 ？OK， 所以说这段简单来说，他们讲述了为什么我们青少年会这么容易的沉迷于这些电子游戏哈。所以说第一点就是说，我们也许在少数的玩这些电子游戏的时候，逐渐把它放到了第一的位置。什么叫做把它放到了第一位置？就是说我们给它了优先权。也就是说，在玩电子游戏的时候呢。我们不会想到，我们应该把今天所需要做的功课做掉。我们不会想到，我们需要为明天的考试做准备。我们想的是，这件事情就是我们人生中最重要的事情，所以电子游戏一定是我们第一个玩的。当我们这么想了很多次，日积月累的情况下呢，我们就会真正的 addict to it， 也就是说，我们会游戏上瘾。而游戏上瘾最后的结果就是说，虽然说我在人生中可能觉得电子游戏这个确实是我不应该今天来玩的，但是当我看到电脑的时候，我就真的控制不住我自己，我 我就去想玩这个电子游戏。我想这个现象也是我们大家都是耳熟能详的，就是说为什么我们的孩子知道不应该去做这件事情，而还是要去做这件事情。而呢，这些也就是说，同样关联到了另一个点，就是说 poor time management。什么叫 poor time management？ 就是说，我们这些青少年也许并没有很好的时间规划能力，我们不知道什么事情应该先做，什么事情应该后做，最后造成的结果就是说最后一条 exclusion of important life events and social interaction， 也就是说我们每天都在玩这些游戏，玩的过多，我们甚至忘记了去与身边的同学交流，忘记了与身边的老师交流，最后把自己封闭在自己的屋子里，家长也不知道自己在做什么，而这个是非常令人伤心的一件事情。
So believe it or not, we actually do know that addiction exists and it's a risk for us when we do play video games. But there are still reasons we like to play video games anyway. So the first and foremost reason is that it's fun. Video games are something we do to enjoy ourselves, much like how someone else would maybe play sports or go out and have fun with their friends in town. But the reason Asian Americans play video games to have fun more is a more cultural reason, which we'll talk about later.
So another reason that teens play video games is because it's really an escape from reality. The reality that the parents have set for us, which is mainly SAT, school grades, and like APs in general. So by putting all of these in our lives, it creates stress, and kids really want to get away from this stress. So when playing video games, our main focus is winning the game or completing a puzzle. It's not on, I have to get an A in this class, or tomorrow I have a test. It really relieves that stress.
By playing video games, you also get a chance to communicate with your friends. Like, sometimes when you play League of Legends, you don't just sit there, you talk to your friend, you go on Skype and you call them and talk to them. And then through that way, because everybody else is already playing games, you can talk to them while they're playing games.
There's also a cultural reason that I mentioned earlier that Asian Americans play video games. So you probably noticed that a large portion of our community, the children at least, play video games, especially when compared to other communities like the white community and the black community. So when we hear that our friends play video games, we don't really want to be left out of the loop, and this encourages us to actually join them in playing video games, which is part of the reason we start playing and continue playing.
OK， 所以在这个 slide 大家有什么自己的问题都可以提出来。OK， 好，那么这一段呢，我们讲述了说为什么我们青少年需要去玩这些游戏。第一点大家众所周知了，说游戏都非常好玩，所以说当然了，因为好玩我们才去玩，但是其实是有更深层的含义对于我们我是国际生，而他们在座的各位家长的孩子大多数都是移民到美国来的，所以说为什么我们这些亚洲人更喜欢去沉迷于这些电脑游戏呢？这是有更深层的原因的。首先 ，escape from reality， 所谓 escape from reality 就是我们确实需要真正的逃避一下我们的现实生活。为什么大家都知道，因为我们这些亚洲人、亚洲学生，确实是学校的工作任务太重，我们有那么多的 SAT 要准备，我们有那么多的考试要考，我们需要把我们的GPA 提到一个非常高的程度，才能进去我们想去的大学。所以说，玩游戏成为了一种手段，去逃避这种来自现实的压力。然后呢，是 communication。什么叫做 communication？ 就是游戏成为了我们一种与朋友沟通与交流的手段。因为我们繁重的学业压力，来自父母、老师的压力，我们必须要去寻找一种手段，与外界进行更为合理、更为灵活的沟通与交流。所以在游戏中，就像 Jonathan 跟 Harrison 给我们举的例子一样，说玩 LOL 就是 League of Legends， 我们可以在游戏里面与我们电脑那一侧的朋友进行真正的对话与交谈，而这样会让我们的生活变得非常快乐。然后呢，就是说 cultural reasons， 也就是我刚才所提到的，这是一个根深于我们Asian American people 的一个真正的一个弊端，所以我们需要寻找一些可靠的方式来 solve 这个 problem。
There's another cultural reason why we play games, and it's fulfillment. It's all the things that we aren't really getting, we're all lacking because we're all Asian Americans. And we sum them up with seeking novelty, competence, autonomy, relatedness.
So we're going to jump straight into these reasons because this is the reason, this is the main part of our presentation. This is basically why we're all here today. So the first point is seeking novelty. An important part of people's fulfillment is that they want to try new things. And they want relief from monotony in their daily lives. This is a weakness that we have in the Asian American community because for the teenagers, every day is basically the same. You wake up, you eat breakfast, you go to school, you do your best in every class, you come home, you do homework, you take classes, you eat a little more, and then you go back to sleep. This is a very boring lifestyle for most of us, and we want a way to get out of it. And video games is something that helps us with this because there are many types of video games, there are many ways to express yourselves in video games. And video games are a way for us to unwind, relax, and seek novelty, which is something we don't get to do often in our daily lives.
So the reason why we want to seek novelty is because of uniformity and homogeneity. Because all the students around here look the same. And that's like exactly the reason why many of the Bay Area students were rejected from Stanford last year. Because on their transcripts, all of them look the same. Like a lot of my friends do swimming, math, and other subjects like science. Like nobody wants to do unique things like art or literature. They all do the same subjects. Because we live in a STEM society, everybody does STEM-related jobs. And it really influences students to do the same things.
And the video games allow us to be a different person than from everyone else. Because most video games gives you an option. Like, I can do this, I can do that, I can go around digging holes, I can kill monsters, I can be a mage, I can be a knight. It allows me to be whoever I want, wherever I want, whenever I want. It gives me the choices that I would like to be. Instead of having everybody else be the same thing, I can be my own person.
所以说呢，这才是我们为什么真正需要时间来玩电子游戏的原因。大家都说我们缺什么，我们就需要找什么。而前面的4点 SEAR（Seeking Novelty）、Competence、Relatedness 和 Autonomy 才是我们这些亚洲孩子真正需要的东西。所谓第一点 Seeking Novelty 是我们真正需要为我们单调的生活添一些色彩。我们每天做着同样的事情，早上起床，像我每天早上都需要5点半的时候起床，这是去年，因为我必须要很早到学校，我需要到学校，完成我所有的工作，因为我来自中国，而且我去年刚来美国，所以说这让我的生活就是特别的辛苦。然后晚上当然需要完成作业，还需要做 SAT， 我还需要备考托福。这些不仅仅是我，包括他们和我们许多在座家长的孩子们都一样，我们需要这些我们这些孩子都需要每天做同样的事情，一遍又一遍，一遍又一遍。所以说，高中这4年对我们并不是轻松的，我们需要为我们的生活添一些色彩。所以说，游戏成为了最好的一种放松自己压力的手段。
So our next point is going to be competence. Now, what happens a lot in Asian American families, and what a lot of parents sometimes don't realize, is you don't tell us good job a lot, or at least not sincerely. Don't deny it. So the most common response to, hey mom, I got 95 on a report card, on math on my report card, why not 100? Why is it not 100? You could do better than this. Why is it not 100? So what a lot of us end up feeling is like we're not good enough and that there's no way we can be good enough. Now video games are an escape from this because video games tell you when you finish objectives, it tells you, yes, good job, you finished this objective. Here's another one. Can you do this? It challenges you to accomplish a new objective and rewards you for finishing each part of the game. And this gives us a feeling of competence, which is something we're missing from our daily lives because we don't usually get it from our parents. This isn't entirely their fault, and a lot of times they don't realize it, but this is something that's very common within the Asian American community.
So one of the reasons why we don't feel confidence is because in Asian American communities like this, your children get compared a lot. Like, if you like only got one award, your parents will go seek some like really high level, like 15 award person and be like, why can't you be like him? I know like you children have like felt that before too. So yeah.
And what the video game does, and like whenever you like beat a puzzle or like kill a boss, it's like just good job, you did good, you had a good time, and you're like, oh yeah, I did do a good job. Thanks for saying that. Even if she's like, woo, it's like it really makes you feel nice inside. Even though it's not much, it still is something that really is there to comfort you.
所以说呢，这一段我们讲的 competence， 所谓 competence 就是能力。玩电脑游戏成为了我们 Asian American student 来自于生活中最大的认可。刚才Alex 给我们了一个例子哈，他说每当他告诉他的父母说，哎呀，我这次考试得了满分，他的父母却当然了，你说的可能很 general， 所以我就是做一个 general 的例子说很多家长都会这样说我这次考了很高的成绩，那你为什么不能再考一点，再考得再好一点呢？所以说，而玩电脑游戏就并不一样。每次当我们完成了一个任务的时候，电脑游戏它本身就会告诉你，你完成了这个任务，而且你会得到你完成任务所应得到的报酬。所以说呢，这个电脑游戏本身就会给我们一种能力上的认可，是对自己的肯定。而这些东西是我们 Asian American students 在生活中不容易得到的东西，或者说并没有太深刻的感觉到的东西。
Our third point is autonomy. So we've mentioned this before, but a lot of the times we don't have that much freedom in our schedules, and it's often our parents that are controlling our schedules for us. After we get up and go to school, a lot of afternoon time and free time is taken up by studying, homework, or going to classes, and this ends up, what this results in is us feeling like we don't have much control over our own lives, which is something that people inherently want to fulfill. So where do we go for this? We go to video games. Because in video games, you are essentially free to do whatever you want. The games are in your control, and depending on how you play and what you do, you can control what happens in the game. And there are also the sandbox games that we mentioned earlier, such as Minecraft, let you do whatever you want, and can therefore make you feel more autonomous than you do in your real life.
Regarding what Alex was saying about like parents filling up their children's lives, like every Friday my life is pretty much filled up. I go to school, after school I have track practice until 5, and after track practice from 5 to around 7, I have Chinese, and then from 7 to 9:30 I have math, preparation for AFC, although that's over, so my Fridays are pretty free now. So from like morning till 9, my life is pretty filled up. That doesn't give me a lot of free time to do what I want. So parents should consider this and think about how much they're filling up their children's lives.
It's also because it's a very American value to be free, to have freedom and independence, because we're all Asian Americans, or American-born Chinese. And in America, it's often looked at as the country of freedom or independence, or just, because in other places, like, oh, I can't say what I can say without being punished by the government. Now it's like, I come here, I can do what I want, it's my choice. So because of that American value, we also feel like we should be able to do what we want. We should also have the control and the independence that everybody else looks to and really wants.
所以说呢，在这段我们讲述了 autonomy， 也就是说对生活的自主权。第一点说 freedom 和 independence， 这里 Harrison 和 Alex 给我们举了一些例子哈，说，我们每天都需要做这些事情，准备考试，回家准备他的 AMC， 他说他现在不需要准备了，所以但是呢，经过日复一日、年复一年的准备，这些东西成为了我们身上的枷锁，我们需要一个钥匙来打开这个枷锁。这个钥匙也就是我们的电子游戏，因为在电子游戏里呢，我们大家可以去真正的做我们自己想做的东西，去 explore 整个电子游戏世界里的美好。我们可以比如说在他所提到的例子 Minecraft 里，我们可以建造 无比高的高塔，我们可以自己做出我们自己想建造的家园，自己想建造的城堡，而这些东西是我们在生活中很难去做到的，因为我们觉得我们身上的枷锁太重了。而所谓 American value 呢，就是说这些孩子，包括我在内，我现在也感受到了一样的感觉，就是说我们现在是在美国，我们 value 的是 freedom 和 independence， 我们需要一点自己的空间去做我们感觉我们自己能做的事情。而在座的各位都是来自于中国，而我的父母当然也是，他们主要就是想，因为大家都说孩子更好更好。而我们却想要更多的自由，这种矛盾与冲突是不可避免的，也就是造成了我们为什么这么想要去接触更多的电脑游戏的原因，因为他们可以给我们更多的自由与快乐。
So our final point of this is relatedness, because here there's not a lot of things to do. Like if you want to walk for like 20, 30 minutes, then you can go hang out with your friends, but it's a long time. So now instead of doing like walking a long time, getting tired, we can just hop onto our computers and then open up our computers to start playing games. And then because of the games, I can start talking to my friends. I can say, oh hey, let's go try out that new dungeon. I want to do this, do that in the game, even though you're just at home and you're all connected through that. I've also made like friends because of video games. Like, oh, I've heard that you play this game, so do I. And you start to talk about the game, and then it becomes not just the game, but we start to talk about ourselves and then become friends through the game.
Yes, genuine relationships. Since our lives are so dominated, or that's not really a good word, but like taken up by our parents, then we can't go out and socialize with our friends anymore. So we go online and we learn to make friends with strangers online, as Jonathan has. But those relationships aren't really healthy because they're strangers. There's a reason why they're called strangers. And you should really go out and build a social life with real friends. So, yeah.
But sometimes this bad relationship or incomplete relationship is the best we can get because we're so socially isolated. Even if we do make friends, a lot of the times our parents compare us to them too much. Like, oh, for example, I have a friend named Kyle who's an absolute genius and is better than me in literally every single thing I do. And so the first thing my mom says whenever I get home and tell her what my test score is, how did Kyle do? He did better than me. Why? He's smarter than me. So even though Kyle and I are actually very friendly in person, we're pretty good friends, sometimes I feel like it's not a very genuine relationship because I resent him a little bit. My parents are always comparing me to him, and I don't feel like we're actual friends. And this is a problem that I'm pretty sure is not unique to me. This is a problem that is present in a lot of the Asian American community.
Relatedness， 也就是说我们与其他人交朋友的能力。为什么我们选择玩电脑游戏而不去与朋友到外面 hang out？ 其实这也是因为我们身上确实是拥有太多我们必须自己选择或者是被迫需要做的东西，而玩电脑游戏呢，却不需要我走出家门，不需要占用整个1个小时或者多少个小时的时间，而只需要简简单单的打开电脑，就可能与网络上的朋友进行沟通与交流。而当 Harrison 给我们的例子是说，我忘了是 Harrison 还是 Alex， 他给我们的例子是说，因为呢，游戏这个东西是我们许多 teenager 都在玩的，而这个游戏呢，也就变成了一个我们经常去讨论的话题，而这样的话题也就造成了我们人与人之间呢，进行更好的沟通与交流，让我们更好的容易成为朋友。而最后 Alex 给我们讲了一个非常通俗简单的例子了，而我的父母也这样。也曾经这样教育过我说，你的那个同学为什么这次比你好？他怎么就比你聪明？你为什么就做不到跟他的一样？而当他们反反复复这样去教育我们的时候，我们的心里自然而然的也就会有这种敌属情绪，也就造成了我们所说的 social isolation， 不愿意与其他人交流。这样呢，就更从反面的让我们去进行到电脑游戏中，因为网络的世界，我们可以真正的成为亲人。
So another American culture is that everybody has STEM-related jobs. Like nobody makes a lot of money doing art, writing, unless you're a really popular author. So like every day we see our parents sitting, and that really influences the teenagers a lot, because they sit as well. Like we sit studying, we sit eating and doing anything else. And then our only real stimulus while sitting is like watching TV or playing video games.
And so we see you sit all day, every day, and whatever you do, you're sitting, and so we start to sit wherever we do something too. And so we start to, when we play video games, we're sitting down, so it causes something similar to fire off in our brain that says, it's like, oh, we're studying in school, this is good, oh, I'm playing video games sitting, just like I was in school, then this is good. So I begin to start sitting a lot. Sitting is what you do while you play video games.
OK， 所以说这一点我们大家可能比较难以去理解，就是说 sitting 为什么要与错有关？其实这点大家可以从另外一个角度想一想。当我们在座的家长朋友们，是不是每天绝大多数的时间都是进行这样的一个坐姿在进行工作与生活的？而这样的话呢，当然了，我们是 teenagers， 我们 tend to 学习你们这样的生活方式。而当我们坐着的时候，最容易做的事情是什么呢？当然是打开电脑玩自己喜欢的游戏了。然后在学校呢，我们也经常去做。在生活中呢，久而久之，我们就会更倾向去选择电脑游戏，因为说坐着的时候，你当然不可能睡觉，所以你是可以打开电脑去做一些自己想干的事情。而且最后呢，这就变成了一个所谓的 cultural problem， 就是在我们 Asian American people 里面自己的一个现象，我们更多的人选择去玩电脑游戏，因为我们习惯于去模仿我们自己的父母们，我们去选择这样的一种生活方式。
Okay, so now we taught you guys about the scars of teenagers around here. Now we're going to teach you solutions in order to mend those scars.
So one way to break addiction or prevent addiction is teaching your child proper time management, which a lot of them don't have because their schedules are so filled up by parents. So we mentioned earlier that one symptom of time addiction is loss of time management. Well, it's actually very hard to get addicted if you have very good time management in the first place, because you know how to restrict yourself. You know that you can only you set aside certain blocks of time for dedicated tasks, and it teaches you to not lose control and not to break into the downward spiral of addiction. So the first step to teaching your child how to manage your time is, of course, give them some independence in managing your own schedule, because like most skills, time management is something you learn by doing, not by watching. They're not going to learn how to manage their own time by watching you plan out your schedule for the next 5 years.
Also, it's very good to have a dedicated free time to do stuff. It's not like free time when you like, oh, you have time in between this class, so do whatever you want. Like, free time as in, oh, this period of time is what you can do, whatever you want. I won't tell you what to do. It's your time. But as soon as you get out of that time, then too bad, it's no longer your free time. But during that period, you can play video games if you want, you can work on homework if you want, you can go out with your friends. It's your free time to really have as your own.
And remember, free time is not you like, using your free time, you can go do more math or more SAT. Alright, so in order to manage your time more properly, we propose that you set aside a lot of small tasks instead of large tasks. Like if you have like 50 problems due Friday, you could do 10 problems each day instead of 50 problems Thursday night. I'm sure a lot of people, like teens, know that procrastination the last night.
So learning how to split up your workload and breaking it into very small, specific tasks is something that really helps you when you're trying to learn time management and managing your own schedule. Because if you set aside a 5-hour block of time and just say, study for math test tomorrow, it's a very large task, and it's very easy to just think, oh, studying for a math test, what does that entail? And the more large general tasks you have, the easier it is to be tempted to not follow them. it's much better to distribute your workload over a long period of time so that it seems more manageable. So instead of having 5 hours of studying in one day, you maybe study 1 hour each day for a week, which is probably a lot more effective. And breaking into small specific tasks means it's easier for you to know what you're supposed to be doing and to make sure you're not tempted to do something else, like play video games, which is specifically what we're trying not to make them do.
所以说呢，从这一部分开始，我们就需要讲的是如何去解决青少年网络成瘾这个问题，青少年电子游戏成瘾这个问题。而当然，大家也都知道了，说，当您的孩子有一个非常合理的时间计划的时候，他们当然就不会去怎么说，就不会去真正的往电子游戏成瘾。而怎样去做这件事情，变成了我们这次演讲主要的目标。刚才呢 ，Harrison 跟 Alex 向我们谈论了几个生活中简单的例子，说到底是把所有的工作放到一天好，还是说把这个工作分成几部分，自己认为自己可以进行的，放到分别的几天好？当然了，大家也都知道，当然是第二种好，因为这样呢，我们每一天都会有自己明确所知道的自己需要进行去做的东西。所以说 ，plan ahead 提前计划，在这个 time management 中就变得尤为重要。而我们能够进行很好的 plan，才可以真正的解决这样的 poor time management 的问题，而借此来解决我们游戏成瘾的问题。
So our other proposed solution is that parents bond more with their children. As we said earlier, children become addicted to video games, which excludes life events such as family bonding or time spent with your family. Also, we mentioned previously, sitting is also a problem, like parents always sitting, children always sitting, separated from each other. So we propose that parents and children bond more with each other by doing anything. You can watch videos together, movies. I know a lot of Asian parents who find 非常勿扰, and yeah, my parents watch it too. And or you can even play sports like basketball or tennis together. It really brings you together and takes them away from video games.
So an important part of bonding with your child and trying to give them fulfillment is don't come on too strong at first if they don't like you very much. Like, think of it like this. You have a coworker that you really, really don't like, and for 5 years you worked in the same office, but every time you saw each other, you gave each other a dirty look and turned the other way. So how would you feel if one day your coworker suddenly came up to you with a basket of flowers saying, "Let's be friends," and then gave you a cake? What would you do? You probably think it's poison, and it probably will be. So this is the attitude that a lot of teenagers will have if you don't have a very good relationship with them, and suddenly you really want to be their friend. It's going to feel really fake, and it's going to not fulfill them at all. If anything, it's going to make it even worse. So one thing to know is make sure it doesn't feel fake. It's very important.
Finally, when you go bond with your kid, don't go like, "You will watch this movie with me." It's like, "I don't want to." "You will." Like, "I don't. I'm doing other stuff. I'm busy." "You will watch it." Because don't force them to watch it with you. Don't force them to do something, because then they'll hate you more. They won't want to do it anymore. So then, and for the kids too, like don't make your parents watch a movie with you. That's bad. But when you do it, be real. Don't be like, "Hey, let's watch a movie." Like during the movie, don't talk to each other. You give each other like the cold, dirty look the whole time. Actually, be both. It has to be like both people, like the kid and the parent, has to want to bond, and then both of you have to make an effort to do it together.
所以说呢，刚才我们的 Alex 和 Jonathan 跟我们讲的这个 bonding 的重要性，也就是说，父母与孩子构成这样真正良好的关系的重要性。刚才我们Alex 也提到了说，我们不能说与孩子，比如说某一天，父母本来与孩子并没有经常性的进行交流，忽然有一天走上前来说，我们今天来做一件什么好的事情。 这样当然会感觉很假。所以说，为了不让假，我们做事情就需要一个循序渐进。而像刚才我们Jonathan所说的，我们不能去强迫我们的孩子去做一件事情，因为这样反而会激起他心中的厌烦情绪，我就不想做这件事情了。所以说呢，真正关键的在这个真正的 key point 在这个 bonding 里面呢，就是说我们如何去双方进行共同的努力，循序渐进，一步一步的进行我们这样家长与孩子们的良好关系。
So, another one of our proposed solutions is gratification. Like previously we said, or Alex said, you got that 95%, why don't you get 100? That's not gratification. Or if you think of that as gratification, it's really not. So for proposed gratification, we mean like rewards, like candy. I'm not sure if people like candy anymore, but like video games give us like the shiny border that says like you won or something. That's our gratification, like what we mean.
So you can do this by saying like a simple good job, but when you say good job, what you actually mean, don't be like good job. Say good job, I really appreciated what you did was a good thing, but like, and sometimes you can give them like candy, as Harrison said, you can give them like, oh, we can go out, do this, like, we can go shooting, or we can go do whatever, but don't go like, you did your SATs, got a 2400, good job, here's $100. Don't bribe your kids to do things, okay? That's not a very good thing to do.
So, one thing to note is that forming a genuine relationship with your child, giving them good time management skills, this is going to happen very slowly, and that's okay, because these are genuine bonds that you want to last. And bonds aren't usually formed in a day. If they are, you're either something special or they're very, very, very fake. So, it's going to take a lot of time to build these bonds. Be patient with your child, build these bonds slowly, and don't expect far too much of them. Give them some room to breathe. And if you actually manage to build these relationships, which we hope you do, then these are going to last a long time because they're strong and they're genuine. And they're going to last past high school, even after your child has left your home, and through college, and even to later parts in their life. Which is something that they might not do now. They might leave your house and think,
ah, my mom was responsible for 8 years of suffering. Why am I going back? Oh, that's right, I'm not.
所以说呢，这一段呢，我们又提出了另外一个可能解决青少年呢电子游戏成瘾的方法，也就是说，父母通过给予孩子足够的认可，来让我们真正的与父母成为朋友。刚才呢 ，Alex、Harrison 和 Jonathan 呢，给我们举了一些有趣的例子，说如何呢才能循序渐进，一步一步的让父母与孩子成为朋友。当然，这些都是老生常谈，而他们所指出的最重要的一点就是说，让这个变成一个真心的交流，并不是说呢比如说像刚才他们3个中的某一位给出的例子，说你这次考试考得非常好，你 SAT 得了满分，所以我给你$100。这样的方式呢，就会让我们觉得，怎么说呢，有一些奇怪的不真心。所以说，当大家通过这种一点一点循序渐进，甚至说，比如说，哎呀，你今天表现真好，我们一起玩一个什么吧，这样都会比一些物质上比较不真诚的给予来更实在一些。所以说呢，通过这样的方法，我们青少年才能与家长成为更好的朋友。也就是说，我们与家长 spend more time， 这样我们就可以减少我们的玩电子游戏的时间。也就是说，我们不需要真正成为合成的。
All right. So that was our presentation. You guys can clap now if you'd like. Thanks to everyone. Sometime late last year, I guess, we were starting to brainstorm different ideas for our
presentations, what we want to present back to the community. I think that, growing up for myself, I had a lot of intense personal pains and hurts, and I didn't ever know who to turn to. I didn't ever know who had the answers. But as I kind of got older and came back to this community after, graduating from college, being back here for, some time already, started to realize the answers aren't necessarily in the hands of people who, publish it online. They're not in academic journals. Sometimes even the professionals don't have specific experience dealing with Asian Americans. So as we started talking more and more about what topics we want to present and what we want to say within those topics, we started to realize the answer was kind of within all of us. We have such collective knowledge built within our own experiences that to not process them and not to think about them would be kind of a colossal, a misuse of resources. We wouldn't really have, we wouldn't be able to really address these problems without coming together and really thinking about something like this. So all that's to say that this presentation, regardless of how good you guys thought it was, which is probably, hopefully very good, it doesn't have the answers. It's really meant to just start this conversation between you and your parents, between you and your kids, between you and your spouse, whoever else you might be raising your child with. That's where the answer really is. We just want to give you the language, the basic vocabulary, the frameworks that you guys can start building something together. There's a lot of hurt built up in a lot of relationships that we see for these guys themselves, within their own parental relationships. For me and my parents, there needs to be a conversation that starts from a position of earnestness and honesty and sincerity that does not begin from the foundation of blame and from resentment. And we want to start to lay that foundation here with what we presented. And with that said, I wanted to go into the Q&A. I think that's where most of the goodies are going to be. That's where the good stuff's going to be. Can I invite you guys also up on stage?
Hi, my name is Christina, and I am a senior at Monte Vista High School.
Hi, my name is Wilson. I am a senior at Calvin.
Hi, my name is Joy. I'm a junior at Lakewood.
Cool. So these guys, they're all working on their own thing. And we want to all be up here because they have experiences too with what we just talked about. Not necessarily video games, maybe with social media, things that girls tend to be more involved with than guys. And we want to be all up here. What are you guys laughing at? Bro, guys.
I want to thank you all for sharing your opinions, your thoughts, and you're helping other kids and parents. And this is very, very helpful. Thank you. My question is, how many of you play League of Legends?
I do.
To the extent that you actually get addicted, and how do you get out of it?
I try to manage my time. I said it so on school days I don't play usually, and I only play on weekends, and I play a lot on weekends.
Okay, so I wasn't actually very, very addicted, but I had some trouble getting out of playing so much League of Legends in the past. So I actually forced myself to stop playing so much League of Legends because I was entering junior year and there was a lot of stress by swimming, and I realized I have a 4.0 right now, and my classes in junior year are really hard. My math class is famous for having the hardest teacher in the school. So I actually forced myself to stop playing League of Legends and spend most of my time on homework, and that just grew into a habit because I knew I prioritized homework and doing well in school and my friends over League of Legends, and I found out that I really didn't have any time for League of Legends because I had to spend so much time on math, on other schoolwork, and I also wanted to spend time with friends, and I gradually stopped playing League almost altogether. I still play it occasionally with my friends this time instead of just going into the community alone. And this is not something that everyone that happens to everyone. I think it's pretty lucky that it happened to me, and that right now I'm not staying up until 4 o'clock every day playing League and then doing my homework.
Thank you.
Do you guys, any of you guys have any other thoughts on the question? I wanted to say something myself real fast. You guys are good? Alright. Yeah, so another thing to, when you think about what, your child might need, to come out of these games is, what kind of game is it? Alex mentioned this now, that there's a kind of a community to it, and it's not really recommended that you go into it alone.
Well, it's more fun with friends.
It's more fun with friends. It's less fun when you're alone because the community is it's pretty toxic. I've tried once or twice. Most people here, they don't play League. That's because they don't play it anymore. It's a really toxic environment. People constantly yelling at each other. You might be able to hear your kid yelling from their room into the mic, so on and so forth. It's like, there's a sense of fraughtness. It's this, you're super tied up in it. But really, the reason for why there's so much wound up in it is because there's that community aspect to it. Really, at the end of the day, it's about seeking friendships. And friendships can take on a lot of different forms. Friendships can take on the kind of form that you see in League of Legends. They can take on highly supportive forms that you see in person, elsewhere. But it comes down to, when you're forming these friendships, what your kid has to offer. And I would venture to say, this is totally speculation, but the reason some video game communities are perhaps more toxic than others is where it's a function of where these kids are when they start playing these games. If you have a bunch of kids who are perhaps lonely, maybe feeling a little resentful, feeling like they have a lot of unfulfilled needs of some sort or another, they're going to start being pretty mean to each other as a result of that. So different kinds of games are going to elicit different kinds of responses and produce different kinds of cultures as a result of that, and that should be something that you take into account when you think about what games are being played and how to get your kids out of them. Next question.
Like, if I have to try something new, it's interesting for us, and when my parents are introduced to something new, it's interesting for them. So it's always something that we have a common ground, but there's also food that we can try.
I think you should start small, start from a small point, bring up oh, did you hear about this, or hey, this food is really tasty, or blah 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 blah. Start small and build up from there, and don't go jump straight into it, but wade into the ocean. Yeah.
John's way is how to start it, and everyone else's is how to develop it. Another way to start small and start creating a bond is simply just be supportive. You said that your son or your child is a junior, right? And that they're going through a lot of stress. You want to express that to them. Let them know that they're going through a lot. Be supportive of them, communicate to them somehow. You can do this. You're stronger than this.
There's a lot of personal, I guess you'd say, baggage, junk that's built up within a lot of us. I don't really know where the root of it is, but it's something I noticed along with Asian Americans where we're horrible at saying sorry. Every time we do something, it's oh, but I did that right. You're the one who did that wrong. That's something that's like an instinct. It's I don't know where we picked that up from, but it's always that feeling. Even now, me talking to girlfriends, a girlfriend, not plural. Talking to a girlfriend. Even then, with the person with whom I'm supposed to be very open and real and kind. And let's say, oh, I'm a little upset that you did this. I'm like, no, how could you be upset? I'm always, you did this. So it'll go into these defensive cycles of just saying, things that really could just be stopped if you said, oh, I'm sorry. So for a lot of you in the audience, maybe you can just imagine, what is it like to say? So just imagine in your head, just maybe if your kid's here, look at them and say in your mind, I'm sorry. Not for any specific thing. If it feels weird to you, then that's exactly what you should be doing. That's all I have to say. Next question.
The decision, like suddenly I just knew that I had to quit playing games. So it's like you have to, like for me, it's like a life-changing events which led me to like become a person who choose not to play video games. So yeah, there is.
So we just need to be patient.
Like for me, I don't know, but
Yes.
Like ever play games or
Ever?
like not
Clearly,
ever,
you've never
but
played Metal Gear Solid.
not like ever, but like you just it's bad to play games.
Anyone? Good.
So it's not like video games aren't inherently bad. It's not like bad all the way through. Okay, it's only bad once you start to get addicted to it. It's the only thing you start to think about. Like if you play for fun, with your friends, like oh it's nice, I like it, it's fun. But like video games are the most important thing in the whole world, then it's bad. But if you take it like lightly, not the only, because video games isn't the only thing in the world. So if you play it but not too much, don't make it the only thing in your life. That's important.
You know, games is like everything. In fact, like so for instance, if you take food, you have to eat food to survive, right? However, if you if you eat too much food, then you start having issues, and it's the same thing with gaming. You know, gaming, you can actually learn a lot of stuff. You can learn social skills. For instance, like what Harrison said it, you can learn how to barter and trade and so forth, which are all good things. However, it's when you cross the line and do too much of it, that is really the issue.
What kind of games do you play?
My son is a sophomore. He's in a private school. He plays League of Legends. Like over the weekend, we give him free time. I think he plays like more than 20 hours per week. He has a perfect score. He got like 4.0. But like socially, he never talked to me and very hostile. Like I tried to install the game and just to make him happy. So I tried everything, good and bad, and like sweet or bitter, and it just feels like nothing works. Like he shuts himself out. Like I don't know. There might be something wrong. Like we see psychologists. So he might grow out of it. He said like 25, by the age of 25, he's gonna become normal. So that's where I'm hoping. But just like from your experience, I just want him to have a healthy life, like go out and just like hiking, go to nature or something. But like he's not interested in music, not interested in dance or like sports. And for him, it's very hard for me to get him out of the house. So and I don't know, like what are the triggers or like experience you had like made it more interesting to play games than like doing something else that made you go out to like stop this, do something else?
Yes.
I think if he has like a 2400 SAT, 4.0 GPA, and he plays 20 hours a week, I don't think he really has that much time to like do stuff with his friends and bond with you. So I think you should find something you really like, even if it's video games. You should like try to play with him, and then try to get him like after you bond with him a bit more, like as they said, take it slow. Then like branch it out to other things like hiking or what you just said.
So I just wanted to say something in general. So I gradually realized that some of these problems are occurring with me too, because my parents are afraid. They won't tell me, but I can feel that they're scared of my future, and if I'll get a job, and if I'll become a good person. And I think because of that, you tend to project your own fears and your desires on your kids. And what that happens is it makes them not genuine to themselves. And I think that is what causes like the rift between the parents and their children. So I think in order for any truly deeply meaningful discussion to take place, all the parents here, you guys need to get rid of your irrational fears about because I think that's the only way for there to be an actual meaningful conversation. So that's
even more specific.
okay. So maybe an example would help. So okay, so my parents, like many other parents here, they like to compare me with other people. Like I know today someone won some Intel National Science Fair prize. I don't know if you guys know about that, but they brought that up today. And I feel like that's one example of something, of an irrational fear that we compare with each other and we see that, oh, this person is winning a scholarship and doing this. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they'll have a better future, right? Because we're still 17, 18. We still have our whole lives ahead of us. So just before you say something, just think about, is it truly what you want to say, or is it your fear? Is your innate? Is that really what you want to say? That's well, yeah, it's important.
Okay, so I actually wanted to build on Wilson's point. So I'm actually really close with my parents, and I think it's originally in middle school I wasn't really close with my mom because whenever I did something, she would be very strict on me or say, you need to study more, you need to do this more. But over time, we've actually grown to become very close, and I think it's just us accepting each other. And so I think it really started freshman year when my mom, she talked to me about kind of her perspective on life or where she wants me to take my life and what I'm necessarily doing. And I actually came to realize that what we think about for my future is actually very similar. And she doesn't necessarily, she's not very strict in terms of, oh, I have to have a 2400, I need to be studying all day. She kind of understands that I want to go out and play, I want to have fun with my friends. And I think that it's just understanding that and slowly becoming and giving more freedom and giving more rights. And your child will slowly trust you more. So I trust my parents a lot. So I tell them almost pretty much everything in my life because I don't feel like they'll necessarily judge me or necessarily give me punishment for things I do.
Thank you so much. I actually have a follow-up question. The dilemma of playing video games is your friends they have their nicknames. So it's really hard to track who are their friends, who they are playing with. For me, I'm almost doing detective work. I have to write down the name and to go to the website, copy their picture, and then go to the parents' meeting and is this your son? Is this your son? It's still it's just impossible to just make it really.
So I think maybe the question that might be in our heads right now is, what were you tracking your kids' friends for?
Well, so I can set up a playdate or something. But then I realized even they're coming here, they still want to play, and probably they know better set up when they play remotely. So it's when they're coming, they're not gonna talk, right? It's still gonna face the computer.
Sure. Yeah, so earlier, you had mentioned that you felt like you had tried so many things already, in terms of being kind, maybe being strict, so on and so forth. But we have to remember that our standards for what is kind and open and what is strict are skewed very strongly in a particular direction that should be obvious, It's very difficult to even start a conversation about this kind of stuff. When we all got together and started first thinking about these topics, I was trying to maybe get at a deeper level of analysis of this problem, and we couldn't get anywhere. Maybe for the first, 4 or 5 hours that we tried to talk about this, it was just kind of I guess we play because it's fun. Well, why is it fun? Well, it's fun because it was designed to be fun. To get to a deeper level was very difficult because to truly reflect on who we are, to look at ourselves, using ourselves, is very difficult. It's very difficult to know where we're coming from, what our own reference points are.
So this would be a good thing to join us in learning things like that. Before I end tonight, I think I'll invite our church elder one, to say something about our program. Thank you.
Again, I really enjoyed tonight's program. I want to remind you of one thing. just bear with me a few minutes. My company is making medical devices, blood pressure monitors and weight scales, and also activity monitor. This is one of the gifts that we are going to draw later. So if you don't have fill in your information yet, please take your time right now when I say sharing this information with you. When we make those medical devices, I can tell you one thing. If you buy a blood pressure monitor and then take measurement every day, just by taking those measurements every day, your blood pressure won't go down. The same, if you buy a weight scale, keep weighing yourself every day. You won't lose weight. The only way to lower your blood pressure and lose your weight is by some personal behavior change. You can attend this kind of seminar all the time, but if you don't take action, the relationship with your kids won't improve. Your daily life won't improve. So we need to have personal behavior change on both sides, the kids, the parents, starting from communication. Communication builds a good relationship. That's the only way to lead a behavior change. And then reconsolidate. And then the good relationship starts. So that's the magic, the solution of all the problems. I believe the games we talk about, I love those games. I even play. I think I'm addicted to the Facebook. I spend so much time every day. But at the same time, we control ourselves. So that's the power we need to learn from each other. So we can change our personal behavior and then be beneficial. All right, back to here. Hopefully you put down your communication information. If not, we still have chance. So let me introduce this watch. So this watch is what I wear right now. It can track your daily activity, plus your sleep pattern. And the information can send to your iPhone. Where's my iPhone? Oh, over here. Your iPhone or Android phone or smartphones. So basically, this is a hot topic in the Valley right now. Clearly, Apple Watch is coming out soon. But this is one of the products, similar products. So I only brought one here, so only one lucky person will get it. But again, these kind of devices is a feedback system. The only thing you can be healthier is to change your personal behavior. Stop eating salty food. Stop eating fat food. Exercise. Stop smoking. Go to sleep before 11 o'clock. Okay? Do those good things. That's the only way we can be healthier. Nothing but those. If we can listen a lot, but if we don't change our personal behavior, leads to no benefit. So tonight, I think we share a lot of information. The important thing is, let's find one or two things. Do it.